vitality. Promise? Okay, same vim, big and vital. Don't forget that part now. Almost like an echo. Good afternoon, everybody. Yes, I love it. Bring the energy to me. Woo! Yes, you got to give yourselves a round. Woo! You definitely need a round of applause. Anyone who could bring that kind of energy after a whole long Monday. Yes, you deserve a round of applause. I'm going to ask our illustrious visionary assistant director of education to come and bring remarks. Her name is Diesel, right? And she is one of the persons who jumped on this opportunity to ensure that we can get the word out about this research, this groundbreaking research. And the fact that she jumped without hesitation is one of those, how should I say it, factors that show you that she's committed to learning and growing and committed to excellence. She is a woman of excellence. So I call her my AD, my Assistant Director of Education, Diesel Wright, to open us now. Good afternoon, everyone.
Yeah. So, Charmaine, after a Monday like I had, I don't have all that vim and vigor and vitality, but I'll try my best. But it's so good to see you here today. And I think that's better. Okay. I know that it's difficult to give up time. Actually, I always tell people as teachers, and the 3:15 for public school teachers, and for others, the 3 o'clock. You schedule any meeting for that time, you're gonna hear a scraping of a chair. And then you're gonna get the Baptist hour finger because we gotta go. Our bodies tell us we have to go. But it is so good that you are here. And when Dr. Miller mentioned to me that she had this awesome opportunity and she felt well with this, she felt it fit in well with this program that we've just launched at the Learning Resources section called the Educator in Residence. And it was a dream and vision of mine for many years. Those of you who are aware of the Learning Resources section, and not many persons are, but the Learning Resources section was established in 1977. It was actually the dream and vision of my dear grandfather, who's passed on, but Horace K. Wright. And it started off as a vision for an audio-visual center that morphed into what is now the Learning Resources section. And the thought was in 1977 that this would be the hub where teachers, educators gathered, and out of this place, academics would soar, research would soar, persons would share research that they had. Years ago, we had volumes of dissertations and theses that were produced by Bahamian educators who went abroad, and some who were here. Remember the dreaded word, I like to tell them, the long study? When we were at COB, not UB, the long study, all of those were bound, and they were kept here in the library, and persons can come and persons can use that research. All of us who have pursued graduate studies know that there's that paucity. We can't find Bahamian research high and wide. So that's what we're trying to encourage. So when we see Bahamians who have conducted research, we're encouraging them to share and to bring their research, whether digitally or physically, that people can access. So we embarked on that journey in December of 2024, and we had one presentation thus far. So today marks the opportunity now for our second presentation, and it's historical because now this would be the first person affiliated with an international university. So we have Dr. Candera Lomax, and she is presenting today. And what we want to do is we want to have little presentations. When I say little, I'm not making them minuscule, but sometimes it doesn't have to be long and drawn out. It can be in a half hour. It can be a lunchtime presentation, a lunch and learn. but we just want to encourage Bahamian educators to get involved in sharing the research. And we're not just thinking of research, we're thinking about any type of program that you've instituted at the school you are or wherever it is that you work, an idea that you have that you've planted and it has grown and it's been successful and you want to share it with others. I'm one who believes in sharing. I feel if we have anything that's going to improve the education of those whom God has placed in our care, then it's our duty. We're duty bound to share. It's always good to get paid and to get accolades for what you did. But if you had something that's so awesome and you kept it to your bosom all those years and it didn't benefit anybody else except those who came into your space, then it doesn't make that much sense. So we want to encourage that sharing. So that is the purpose of today. So we are more than grateful to Dr. Lomax, and we're more than grateful to Dr. Miller for introducing her to us. And I know, I don't even have to say I pray or I hope. I know that whatever she is presenting today has already been blessed by God. It's been ordained, and those of us who are here present are the heirs that's supposed to hear. So at this time, we're going to open in prayer. So I'm taking the place of Dr. Swan, who is otherwise engaged. She's on her way. So Heavenly Father, we just thank you for this opportunity that you've presented for us, Lord. Lord, and we know that you've given us the ability as educators or as those interested in education to transform lives. And we know that this particular program is one that it is our prayer and hope will transform lives. And whatever you've placed, Lord, the research that Dr. Lomax has conducted, the masterclass that she is about to present, we ask that persons take it and everything that she says resonates with them and they're able to reproduce it to their benefit and the benefit of those whose lives they touch. Lord, we thank you so much for this opportunity. We thank you for life. And we ask that you bless each person here in this room. And we ask for safe passage for those who are on their way. And of course, safe passage as we leave this place. In your son's name we pray. Amen. Amen. So thank you so much. And unfortunately, I am off to another meeting. So I will see the recording once it's done. I'm sure it's going to be spectacular. Okay.
She is a woman on the go. I'm just honored that she gave up her time today because she's already had a full agenda. Thank you. And my job easy because she's already done it for me. She's already welcomed you just by giving you all a heads up on what this is all about. But I'm really honored that you've taken the time to gather here. We have teachers, we have parents, we have counselors, we have students, administrators, even our officials from the various universities, University of the Bahamas, and so on. We are honored to have you here because time is precious, eh? Time is that commodity God has given us to fulfill purpose. So we have to make sure we use it wisely. I can tell you, you're using it wisely today. Today, we have the privilege of hearing from Dr. Candera Lomax, a proud daughter of the Bahamas, who is making waves internationally as an assistant professor at Oral Roberts University. Dr. Lomax, we celebrate you and we are delighted to have you back home. Yes. Hope you got your 𝐂𝐚𝐧𝐝𝐞𝐫𝐚 snack, okay? Or get it before you go, all right? And I want to extend a warm and hearty Bahamian welcome to all of our distinguished colleagues and administrators from Oral Roberts University who are here with us via the Zoom room. Listen, all of us here, we got to make sure they hear. I want you all to say, hey. Hey, there you go. Listen, that's the best one we could give you right now. But if you were here, guess what I would have come with? With a nice little warm hug, because that's how we do it. We touchy-feely, all right? So we want you to know you're welcome. The symposium, Who Did You Run To, will challenge us to reflect on the relationships that have shaped us, and more importantly, to consider how we as educators, parents, and mentors can actually create stronger and more supportive connections. So let's lean in. Let's ask the questions. Say, Okay, so let's try that again. Let's lean in. Let's ask the questions and embrace this opportunity to learn, connect, and grow together. Say, oh yeah. This my kind of people. Love it, y'all. Once again, welcome and let's have an enriching and enlightening experience. Give yourselves a round of applause. Awesome. So now we want to introduce, I want to take the time to introduce to you Dr. Kim Boyd, who again, another busy lady. And we are so happy that she's given us the opportunity to meet her via Zoom. She is the assistant to the provost for exceptional teaching and innovation. She's also the dean of the College of Education at Oral Roberts University. Listen, her record is impeccable, but I want to give you a little snippet so you can lean in and listen really well. Dr. Boyd serves as the assistant, I said to you, to the provost. She is the commissioner for the Council of Accreditation for Educator Preparation, and she also assists in providing guidance for meeting the CAEP standards as a repeatedly invited presenter at their conferences. Listen, I can go on because guess what? This is not even scratching the surface. So I'm going to give her the rest of the time. Please welcome with me Dr. Kim Boyd from Oral Roberts University.
Well, good afternoon. Can you all hear me okay? I just want to say a warm welcome from Oral Roberts University here in Tulsa, Oklahoma. We are thrilled to be a part of this symposium today. I want to say a special greeting to all of the dignitaries there with you, those that are representing the Ministry of Education and those that are representing the College of Education or the College of Education there at the University of the Bahamas. I also want to welcome and thank you all for being here today. We're very proud of Dr. Lomax and the work that she has done. Her dissertation chair and her committee member are here with us today. Dr. Mary Lou Miller and Dr. Gweth Holzman are here with us today. And we are just happy to support Dr. Lomax in this vein. And we would look forward to any kind of partnership that we could have with you. As the Dean of the College of Education at Oral Roberts University, we're always looking for how we can better our education program, and we would love the opportunity to partner with you. As you know, Oral Roberts University is a private 4-year liberal arts university, and we have over 150 programs with students from all over the world and all over the United States. So I just want to say again how proud we are of Dr. Lomax and how grateful we are to be here today. And if we have time at the end of her presentation, I'd be happy to share more information about Oral Roberts University. God bless you and thank you for this opportunity. And at this time, I would like to take this opportunity to introduce Dr. Gwethelene Holzman, who was the chair of Dr. Lomax's dissertation. She is a full professor at Oral Roberts University in our graduate program. And at this time, I'll turn it over to Dr. Holzman.
Thank you, Dr. Boyd, and thank you, Dr. Miller, for this opportunity. It's an honor to introduce Dr. Candera Lomax to this esteemed assembly. Dr. Lomax, a native Bahamian, has transformed challenges into triumphs, and she continues to help others do the same. She distinguished herself in her academic endeavors and degrees, both in the Bahamas and at Oral Roberts University, earning a bachelor in education and religious studies, a master's in professional counseling, and a doctorate in educational leadership. She earned the College of Education's Outstanding Doctoral Student Award in 2022 based on her dissertation entitled Attachment Orientation, Rejection Sensitivity, and Academic Performance of Undergraduate Females Studying at the University of the Bahamas. It was an honor to serve as her dissertation chair, and to now have her as a colleague in the Graduate School of Education, where she developed and directs the Master's in School Counseling program. Dr. Lomax is a committed Christian, an insightful researcher, a gifted teacher and communicator, a valued colleague, and a close friend. Her address today, Who Did You Run To?, is based on her dissertation research and her life, teaching, and mentoring experiences. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Candera Lomax.
Okay, great. There's so much to cry for. You know, Bahamians, we would say, what you crying for? But then there's also so much to smile about and to laugh about and to say, thank you, Jesus, for. So today, I'm going to do my best to engage everyone in the audience, but I want to find out who's in the room. If you are a parent, wave at me, holler at me. Shout out to all of my parents. And great, we have some parents. Do we have any University of the Bahamas students in the room? UB students present? Shout out to UB. Yes. Do we have any high school students in the room? Okay, so high school students aren't represented yet. Okay. Do we have any business professionals, entrepreneurs in the room? Woohoo, we have business. Okay, now these are my people. Do we have any leaders, teachers in the room? Yes, whether it be retired or current teachers. Okay, do we have any? I know we had the Assistant Director of Education who was here previously. We want to thank her for her presence. Did I miss any community members, church representatives, youth leaders? Yes, yes, excellent. Give yourself a round of applause for attending. And of course, we have our dean from the College of Education and my esteemed dissertation committee joining us via Zoom. Thank you so much for being here. But before we get into anything else, y'all, I'm gonna need all of the energy that Dr. Miller talked about earlier to honor this person. I need us to honor the fuel behind this, the person that said, look, don't cancel it, go forward with it. God wants you to do this. There's a need for this. Candy, you can do it. Small things for a giant. Can we please celebrate Dr. Charmaine Miller herself, please? Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you for being here. And so when we talk about who did you run to, I'm gonna see if this clicker is gonna cooperate with me on today. But just 1 second, that's my tech person. Give it up for Bodine. Give it up for Bodine Johnson. When we talk about who did you run to, as the assistant director mentioned earlier, I am sharing my research, but I'm mindful that there's a variety of people in the audience. And so at some point, I will use some technical terminologies, but I will break it down in layman's terms as well, okay? So I'll try my best to be mindful of everyone that's in the room. If you have a question as I'm presenting, please go ahead and write that question down. There is no silly question, okay? This is a learning opportunity, and we want you to be an extension of this information in your spheres of influence, in your classrooms, in your homes, on your jobs. So please go ahead and write down any questions that you would have as I am presenting. A little housekeeping, the bathrooms are just outside the door to your right. you should be able to find the restroom, sorry, if you need to relieve yourself. No? Yes? We should be good to go. Let me see what's working. Okay, so that's working. Can you advance it from there? Yes. We're not going to let it stop us. Put it down. The mic down. Just stand down. Okay? Move it out the way. Yes, ma'am. We're making sure we good. Okay, so we already did this one, but I want to highlight this point right here. The Bible says, but when you are strengthened, go and strengthen your brother. You're going to hear a lot of my story today where I started. But I know there are Bahamians who leave and they go abroad and they study, and some people return, some people don't. I'm one of those who's committed to returning, to pouring back into my community. And so that's why I'm here. Amen. So the title of my dissertation is Rejection Sensitivity, Attachment Orientation, and Academic Performance of Undergraduate Females Studying at the University of the Bahamas. Now, that's a lot of words and a lot of information that may go over your head, right? But when I break it down for you, you're going to be like, oh, I know what she's talking about. And so we're going to get to that place, right, where everybody will leave here with an understanding of not just what the research is about, but an understanding of how it applies to you in your everyday life, right? Okay, so we already know who's in the room. Let's go to the other slide. Now, this is a little icebreaker that I like to do. And then after this icebreaker, we have an opportunity to win some prizes with something I call Just for Laughs. So in groups of 2 or 4, you're going to use your phones, or if you are a note taker, you can use a pen and a paper. And you're going to connect with 2 or 4 people who you do not know. Now, if you know this person from work or from high school, no, that's not a person that you need to connect with. So if it means you need to move around the room, that's fine. You can move around the room and find out things that you have in common that are not obvious to the eye. For example, if you're wearing black and I'm wearing black, you cannot put that on the paper because it's obvious to the eye, right? So have a little bit of a deeper conversation, go a little bit deeper to find out what do you have in common with your fellow Bahamian brother or Bahamian sister in the room. I know the screen says the clock is set for 5 minutes. We're going to change that clock to 3 minutes. The entire group, when I say go, I know we're excited, but teachers on my go. When at the end of the 3 minutes, the entire group with the longest list of commonalities will get a prize. Are you ready? Are you ready? All right, go. It could be 2 to 4 people. As everybody should talk because you're trying to figure out what you have in common. Yes. Everybody has to have the same thing in common. Yes. One minute down, 2 minutes to go. 60 seconds, counting down. Twenty seconds, counting down. And 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. If you can hear me, clap, 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 clap. All right. Do I have anyone who, is there any group that has a list of commonalities of more than 5, more than 7, more than 8, 8, more than 9? Anybody with more than 9? All right, let's hear it for the group that has 9. I'm just curious. A group of people, a group of 3 people that had 9, give me an example of 2. Give me an example of 2. Ready? Favorite food is fish. Give them a round of applause. Dr. Miller's gonna make sure you each get a prize. All right. All right. Congratulations to the 3 people that won that round. Now we're gonna laugh together a little bit. And this is an opportunity for individual prizes. There are 5 opportunities just for laughs, okay? There we go. Now, here are the rules. If you know the answer, you're going to stand up and you are going to sing the line that answers the question. And ultimately, I know the writing is small, but you're listen for the questions, okay? Listen for the questions. If you know the answer, you're going to raise your hand and you're going to sing the answer to the question. You're going to sing the line from the song, and hopefully everybody will join you. Are you clear on the instructions? Okay. So I'll read the question to you for the first one. Veronica Bishop tells a story of a woman who called a bar looking for Andrew, her children's father. The bartender was responsible for telling Andrew to come home to his kids. After Andrew refused, what did the woman tell the bartender to tell Andrew? I see 3 hands, and I don't know who raised their hand first, but I'm going to go at the back here with the lady back there. Please stand. He better come home now. Oh, let's sing it back. Because these little children he got, they're crying for their pa. They're crying for their pa. He wouldn't like it if I had to come to that bar. Oh, so tell all I ain't here. He better come. Give her a round of applause. Please see Dr. Miller at the back for your prize. Number 2, Sweet Emily tells the story of a lover who was lost at sea. What did she want the wind to do to his sail? Come on now, anybody know this one? We have someone right up here. You want to stand?
What? I'm home.
A place where he feels. Give this Mills a round of applause. According to Ronnie Butler, why couldn't he go home? Why couldn't Ronnie Butler go home? Come on now, y'all got to know this one. We got to get to the educational stuff, y'all. I need to get the laughs out of the way. Why couldn't Ronnie Butler go home? Okay, I can win this one myself then. Oh, I get do right in. I can't go home because he said his head was spinning because he got do right in. I don't know what the legs like. I don't know. Okay, so when Baintown woman catch a fire, well, everybody read that one. Okay, how long did Gino D say he would be doing wrong if loving you was wrong? Oh, y'all have fired you. Give yourselves a round of applause, Sisters Just for Laughs. So in a few of those slides, there's a commonality, right? It's talking about home, talking about relationships, talking about family, and not going home to your family if you get do right in. And for my American audience, it simply means he's probably drunk. But rejection sensitivity, attachment orientation, academic performance. What does all of this mean? Rejection is a common human experience, right? If you have a need, for example, oh, I'm getting all the way into the research before this part. How it started versus how it's going. It's my kindergarten graduation picture, my very first graduation. 7 graduations later, I graduated as Dr. Candera Lomax. So it's not how you start, of course, it's how you finish. And I just want to shout out my auntie for keeping that picture all of those years, my auntie Cheryl at the back. Can anything good come out of Nassau Village, y'all? Can anything good come out of these little small islands of the Bahamas? There's so much. We are such a strong and resilient people, right? Yes. So this is how it's going. Let's go to the next slide. Because I really want to get talking. I really want to tell you about, not just about the research again, but how it applies to you. Now, a couple of years ago, very unintentionally, I went viral. Not on no fault of mine. It was, like I said, it was unintentional. It was not my intention. But this poem went viral, and I think it has a lot to do with our understanding of attachment. So I want to play it. I'm hoping that it'll encourage you, and that it'll inspire you, and that it'll also be a very good segue into these terminologies. One second, our tech person. Give our tech person a round of applause, please.
Like a baby latches on to its mother's breast, let's face it, life
young lady do a poem entitled Anchored, and somebody sent it to me over Instagram, and I was like, who is this? Get her here. She needs to be able to do this on the last week of our series. And so today, to open up your hearts, will you give it up, Transformation Nation, for one of your own? Transformation Nation, will you give it up for Candy as she comes to the platform?
Let's face it, life can be tough. Lots of pain and uncertainty. We often turn to people and things just looking for some stability. Sometimes we know a storm is coming, and other times we trip and fall, and then who do you run to? Who do you call? You need an anchor. Like a baby latches on to its mother's breast, moments after birth being placed on her chest, familiarizes itself with the person whose womb carried and nurtured its life to bloom. I'm anchored with a secure attachment orientation stemming from the one who determined the body's formation, knit me together before and behind. Social relationships can pattern after this kind of security. I'm anchored. A false sense of safety exists in the shallow. If deep calls to deep, this ship cannot be hollow. No surface level of intimacy can accomplish the purpose that God has for me. So I'm anchored. And each act of obedience sets my life a sail. When the metal grips the rock, the waves cannot prevail. Maybe visibly shaken by the storms at sea, but my soul finds rest like my captain did in Galilee. I'm anchored. They say the race is not for the swift, but requires endurance, discipline's gift. The 4x1 of a relay race, legs 1 through 3 may run a steady pace, but the fourth leg runner with a stallion stride can close the gap and anchor the prize for the team. You are an anchor. A mentor, a teacher, a gap filler, a preacher, a leader, generational curse breaker. Whatever your lot, whatever your role, we all need an anchor for our souls, because Christ's love is the remedy for the broken, fragile heart running on empty. We have an anchor. Firmly planted, roots run deep. Vines bear fruit, victory tastes sweet. Abiding becomes easy if wherever we roam, His presence lingers like an eternal home. We have an anchor. When it's the winter or a summer trend, protective styles become a natural's best friend. The first or last braid on a woman's head slays the look or prevents the breakage we dread. Lock in, says your crown is anchored. See, when you interwoven yourself in community, like braided hairstyles promote strength and unity, like both parties connect. When the anchors link, it becomes impossible to capsize or sink. So together we be the anchor. And then as the pedal sustains the notes of a chord, a sound resounds from heaven's keyboard. The musical progression begins on the one. So let your soul find its anchor in the sun. I'm anchored. From the securely latched baby to the vine fruitfully abiding. From the strongest relay runner to the braided protective styling. From the musical chord to the floating ship. An anchor supports, it's an anti-drift. Get anchored.
Oh, transformation.
It's still going. I still watch that and tears come to my eyes sometimes, because it encompasses so much. The power of community, the power of relationships in achieving your life's goals. getting from point A to point B, right? Okay, so I'm gonna ask Dr. Miller to kind of give out those handouts. And you'd be able, for the most, if we don't have enough for everyone, please feel free to look on with a neighbor. So that you can follow along with me. So today we're going to break down the research into 5 big ideas. How many big ideas? 5 big ideas and 1 small idea, okay? So the first thing that I'm going to tell a lot of my story throughout my presentation today. Y'all know I was born in Master Village. Y'all know I'm a professor at ORU. I'm going to tell some of the other details throughout so we can go to the next slide, Odin. Thanks. So when we talk about rejection, right? Raise your hands if you've ever asked someone for something and they told you no. It's probably everybody, right? Now, what are some of the ways or some of the feelings that you get when you ask someone for something and they tell you no? Just tell me what comes to mind. How do you feel? How do you react? How do you respond? Disappointment, angry, hurt, sad, depressed. Don't let you need that little Dana. All right. So the 5 big ideas as we break down this research include the sting of rejection. What's the problem? Or the problem I wanted to explore. How did I explore it? What surprised me? And what can we do? Those are the 5 big ideas. The one little idea is everyone needs a helping hand. And we know that, right? But the research actually supports that as well, okay? So rejection is a common human experience, yeah? Odin, I think we can go to that next slide. A very common human experience because everybody in this room, when I asked who's ever been rejected, raised their hands, okay? Y'all remember the song, S-T-I-N-G? Rejection hurts, it stings, right? Now, how you respond to rejection will be different from how you respond to rejection. So we all respond to rejection differently, okay? So aside from just being told no, rejection sometimes feels like you yourself are not being accepted as a human being. Like there's no place for you in that person's world or in that person's life. So I have a question. At what point in development would you say the feeling of belonging and acceptance is important? At what point in development? Adolescence? Early on in life? Like how early? From the very beginning? Yeah? Maybe even preschool? Can I tell you that feeling of belonging and acceptance is important upon conception? So my mother was 15 years old when I was born, and I found out that it was involuntary. And so can you imagine carrying a child that you did not plan or did not want? Instant rejection. Yeah. And so somehow it felt like throughout my life, there was this sting, almost like a bee sting, and the impact of that bee sting that just didn't go away. Yeah. I will get advance my slides for me. So the feeling of belonging and acceptance is important from inception, okay? And it goes throughout lifespan. So we know what rejection is, right? Rejection sensitivity is like any allergy, right? It's this tendency to anxiously perceive that rejection is happening, even if it's not actually happening. So that means if I walk into a room, no, let me use a more practical example. Have you ever received a text message from a person who you haven't seen or spoken to in a long time? And that text message says, hey, how you doing? And you automatically feel like what you want, right? Imagine how the person who's making that request feels. Like, man,
I know the person, I know I don't want to have to ask this person for something. So I'm scared to ask them because I don't know what they're going to say. So you're anxiously expecting, perceiving rejection, even if rejection isn't actually happening. Because in some instances, when you get that text message, or when you send that text message, because don't get it wrong, we are sometimes on the sending side of that text message, right? You just don't know what the response is going to be. Some researchers say that rejection sensitivity, or this hyperactive or this hyper response to rejection, comes from an insecure attachment. Now, what is attachment and what does it have to do with rejection? Let's go to the next slide and see if we could figure out some more. Now, attachment theory was initiated by John Bowlby. Okay, there are other researchers like Mary Ainsworth who continued Bowlby's initial research about how human beings connect or develop these relational bonds. Okay, so Bowlby's theory was that a child depends on his or her primary caregiver for survival. Okay, attachment is a way of connecting with others that begins with a very early connection between the child and its primary caregiver. And the research suggests that way of connection, it becomes almost like a pattern for which the person uses to connect with other people. Okay, so it's either secure or it's insecure. Attachment is measured by examining the degree of anxiety or the degree of avoidance. So remember that text message I told you about? If you had to ask someone for $100 right now in a text message, right? Because you really need that. How anxious would you feel to send the text? Okay. How many of you would avoid asking for it? And maybe you have your light get cut off because asking for help is hard. So there's avoidance. So there's attachment anxiety and attachment avoidance. Anxiety measures the degree of abandonment or the degree of rejection that you feel either in a connection or from a request, okay? Avoidance measures how, perhaps how independent, how self-sufficient you may be feeling. You may have a more positive view of self and a negative view of others, but it also comes with this discomfort with relying on others, this discomfort with intimacy, a discomfort with closeness, a discomfort with vulnerability, okay? So does everyone understand how we measure attachment and what attachment is? Anxiety, avoidance, attachment. So like I said, the connection between rejection sensitivity and attachment is this. If early on, the care that you received as a child is inconsistent or not there at all, or if you were abused repeatedly or abandoned repeatedly, you develop an insecure attachment style. And that insecure attachment style is often connected to the presence of rejection sensitivity. And if that's you, I'm not here to psychoanalyze you or to assess you, but if you feel like, I might have some of that, then you may have a degree of rejection sensitivity. Quite frankly, as human beings, we may all have it, right? So that's the sting of rejection. So I wanted to know, like I said, like an allergy, people react and respond to rejection differently. For students, it impacts their academic performance, according to research by Downey and Feldman in 1996. So this leads me to the question that I had for myself. There was this feeling of rejection, having not knowing my father for the majority of my life, knowing the circumstances that surrounded my birth, and then not fitting in school. So in middle school, I think it's on the next slide. In middle school, I got a picture from a friend of mine. She
wrote a note. It was a lovely, not so lovely poem on the back of this graduation picture in middle school that said these words: Candera, your self-esteem is very low, but through the Lord, it will grow. Build your self-esteem within and show your haters you already win, and do this to them with a grin. Now, she was right. My self-esteem was very low, and I really did not fit in middle school. You could ask my childhood best friend, can you? I didn't fit in, right? But I wanted to find out, did not fitting in, did feeling rejected, did feeling small in school, did it impact or did it drive my academic performance? Did it have anything to do with it? And so that's the problem that I wanted to explore. A lot of times researchers study themselves, okay? So the big ideas of the research question was, is there a relationship between rejection sensitivity and academic performance? That was the overarching question. Then I wanted to find out, is there a relationship or was there a relationship between the presence of rejection sensitivity and the attachment style of the participants? That was the second question. The third question I wanted to find out was, what combination of variables, or let's just say combination of little different things, right, best predicted academic performance in the population? And the final question I wanted to find out was, what mitigated or stood between or linked, so to speak, rejection sensitivity to the academic outcomes of participants? Everybody's sort of kind of clear on what I wanted to explore so far? Good, because I'm not going to lead you up. All right, so here's how I actually got to answer that question. I thought this little GIF was hilarious. How do you think this little boy feel? Like he was about to go up to the rim. He was about to be so great. Like he was going to do his layup. He was going to be so great, y'all. And look what that man did to him. Just crushed his hopes and dreams with that basketball, right? So for a quick second, what impact do you think this had on this kid in this moment, if this was a teachable moment? Very crushing. He was probably angry. Yeah. All of the above. Let's go. Sorry, I miss something? He didn't, oh, I love that one. Discouraged, not feeling good enough. Yeah. Inadequate. I really want to fight that bully for doing that to that kid, but you know, because as human beings, we wanted to fight, we want to defend when people are being taken advantage of, right? So let's go to the next slide so we could keep moving the conversation along. So here's the method that I use to answer those questions. But before I get to the method, this picture is really special to me because it tells a story of what happened along the journey. Okay. Remember, the theme of this event is, who did you run to? How relationships impact achievement. You can't go through life alone. And I found that out very quickly. And I think it was maybe 2014, I was talking to Dr. Gia Jones. She's at the back. And Dr. Gia studied resilience for her dissertation. And so we were in Starbucks. I don't remember what we were talking about, but I said, you know what? I'm going to study rejection. And I hadn't thought about it prior to that. I hadn't given it much thought, but I wanted to figure out how rejection was impacting my life, how it was showing up and in what ways. So shout out to Dr. Gia. But this picture represents a time that I wanted to quit. In 2020, just after I defended my dissertation proposal, I had a surgery. I think it was 30 days later, I had a second surgery. And as I sat in the basement of my best friend's apartment, with the pain rocking my body, just after getting clearance to actually conduct the research,
I wanted to quit. I was so depressed. Tears streamed down my face. And I later sent my chair, Dr. Holzman, who introduced me, an email with the subject headline, I quit. And Dr. Holzman's words to me were, don't make a decision when you're in this much pain or when you're this emotional. And my dissertation chair and committee members basically put me on their back until I crossed that finish line. That's the power of a relationship. But the hand that I held in this photo wasn't the hand of my husband, because I wasn't married at the time. This was the hand of someone who was born 12 years after I was born. And I didn't know that the same child who I had to lift to carry to the nursery before I went to school would hold my hand and take care of me when I was on my sick bed, my little brother. Right? Relationships, right? And then at the end of my doctoral studies in 2022, I successfully defended my dissertation on April, I think it was April 7th. On April 23rd, y'all, I got married. You ever see? And then on April 30th, I walked across the stage as Dr. Candera Lomax. And I stood on the stage, having been awarded the most outstanding doctoral candidate of the year. I stood on that stage and I was like, God, you kept your word. Because he promised me that I wouldn't graduate alone or climb to the highest ladder of success in academia, but have no one to share it with. He kept his word. He kept his word by sending me people to encourage me when I wanted to quit. He kept his word in raising my brother up to be a strong and caring young man to help me out when I really needed it the most. Think about the people in your life as we continue with this conversation. Think about the people in your life who hold your hand and whose hands you hold. Value them. Hold on to them. At some point, they might change your life. So that's some of the journey. But let's get into the methodology. Y'all ever heard the song, Through Many Dangers, Toils, and y'all know it. I have already come. And so since I wanted to find out how does rejection relate to academic performance and if attachment was related to rejection, I had to conduct a methodology. Simple words for how did you do it? How did you answer your question? So I conducted a mixed method study, and the official terminology or the correct terminology is an explanatory sequential design, where I surveyed, I think it was 390 participants. Can we shout out the UB students who participated in this study? Thank you. So they completed 2 survey instruments, one to measure rejection sensitivity and the other to measure attachment across various relationship domains, okay? So 390 participants attempted to complete the survey, but only 191 participants completed the survey. But that was still a very significant sample size, and I honor the Lord for that, and I honor the work that the UB students put in. So that's the quantitative data, the numbers, right? But then the quantitative data results informed the qualitative, which is the words, the interviews that I conducted. From the sample of 191 participants who completed the surveys, I looked at the numbers to see participants who scored very high in rejection sensitivity and who also scored very low in rejection sensitivity. And I found 19 individuals who were willing to participate in the interview. Of course, there is limited research on our population, as the ADE mentioned earlier today, but we can change that one research at a time. And so if you're feeling a pull in your heart to pursue a master's or a doctorate degree, answer that call.
join the body, join the body of researchers to conduct research on our population, because it's the research that actually supports the changes that we want to see made in our country. Yeah? All right. And so the findings that surprised me. Okay, so after sending out the surveys and getting those numbers analyzed through what we call a hierarchical multiple regression analysis, and after conducting the qualitative data analysis through a software called Deduce, I conducted a thematic analysis, which is simply a search for themes, okay, or messages, let's call it that. And I found out that the definition and value of support, relationships, and motivation over critical time periods mitigate the presence of rejection sensitivity in the sample. But let's go back to the initial research question. Is there a relationship between rejection sensitivity and academic performance of undergraduate females who studied at the University of the Bahamas? The answer was a resounding no. There was no correlation between the rejection sensitivity that their participants reported and their academic outcome. I need to put a pin right here. Academic outcomes or academic performance was measured by self-reported GPAs, okay? So if they were feeling rejected, cast down, there were so many stories, their GPA did not move. And that speaks, I think that deserves a round of applause, right? The second finding, to the second question, was there a relationship or is there a relationship between rejection sensitivity and attachment or attachment orientation? The answer was a resounding yes. Attachment or global attachment anxiety was highly correlated to the presence of rejection sensitivity in the population, which makes sense because rejection sensitivity is also measured by the degree of anxiety. So attachment anxiety was highly correlated or highly related with rejection sensitivity. Now, the third research question, what factors or variables or what things best predicted academic performance in the population? You're gonna wanna lean in for this one. Because if rejection sensitivity didn't predict academic performance, then what did? 10%, how much percent? 10% of the change or the variance in academic performance was accredited to attachment anxiety to the mother or the father. That simply means, remember we were talking about attachment anxiety earlier and the degree of fear or the fear of being rejected. If an individual, according to the participants, if they experience high anxiety towards a mother or a father, their academic performance or their GPA declined by 10%. That's an entire letter grade. So if Susie had an insecure attachment with a mother or a father, and she started the semester with an A, the research could predict that by the end of the semester, she would be at a B. Very significant finding. Now, this research is not necessarily generalizable. That means I can't say that that same result would be the same in high schools in the Bahamas or all high schools, all middle schools, or schools around the world. It's just for this population. The purpose of me telling you the information is so that we could kind of question, I wonder if the relationship or the connection that students have with their mothers and fathers really do impact their academic performance. So that's one of the most significant findings. I want to jump to this other number here, 70%. How much percent? 70%. We're talking about the quantitative data results here. 70% of UB participants, 70% of that 191 participants that we previously identified, they said that a mentor or a teacher or an academic advisor or counselor was a secure base or an attachment figure for them. So not just mommy, not just daddy, not just friend, a teacher. So if you are an educator or if you know an educator, you, my friend, are a valuable secure base or an attachment figure in the lives of your students. So, like I said, the qualitative findings or the words or the interview data reveals that support, relationships, motivation over critical time periods mitigate the presence or stand between or kind of links rejection sensitivity to academic performance. And the biggest support factor, believe it or not, I want to highlight this, was the Ministry of Education's grant. That financial support from the grant was a significant factor as to why rejection sensitivity didn't impact the academic outcomes. Then relationships, all right? Supportive relationships over time. I want to shout out my mentor in the room, Dr. Sheena Pinder, who, because at every point in my development, I didn't get here on my own. I didn't. You don't just climb to the ladder like this without support, without mentorship, without coaching, and without purpose pushers. Yeah? Let's go to the next slide as we keep this conversation going. The other two findings, motivation and time. Intrinsic motivation is motivation that comes from the inside. Extrinsic motivation are motivating factors that come from the outside. So there's this recurring statement, verbatim. I didn't make this up. The participants kept saying, I have to. That speaks to grit. That speaks to resilience. That speaks to, hey, there's something that's driving me. I have to do this. What do you think that I have to was attached to? Why do you think that they felt like, you know what, I have to get this done? It was tied to their destiny. It was tied to their come up. It was tied to their families. It was tied to their purpose, their careers, their income, and their upwardity. And I wanted to commend them for that. It was tied to breaking generational curses and intercepting cycles. And of course, the external motivator of the national grant. Because if I don't get this GPA, they're going to take my scholarship from me. It sounds like we have witnesses in the room. And then time. So we know building relationships take time, right? It takes time to build those relationships. It takes time to build supportive relationships, right? It takes time to build motivation, especially after disappointment. Motivation, and of course, over critical time periods. There we go. I think we're on the next slide. So, overarching theme, support, relationships, motivation, and time mitigated or stood in between rejection sensitivity and academic performance. I have a special person in the room. In grade 11, let me tell you my story, a little bit more of my story. In 11th grade, I sat in our math class. I had no plans for my future at the time. I was born and raised in poverty. Like I told y'all, my mother, who sits at the back there, she was 15 when I was born. And so school was a safe space for me, a safe place for me. And lo and behold, the teacher stood in the front of the room and she said, do you know that if you got 5 BGCSEs with C's or above, and if you joined Teachers Cadet,
you could get a full scholarship to go to the then College of the Bahamas. Do you know, to become a teacher? She said, do you know that you could actually go to college free of charge because they would give you a stipend and pay your tuition? I literally lit up. I said, what? You mean I could go to college? No one in my family, in my immediate family, had gone to college. I didn't dream about college because I knew I couldn't pay for college, right? But Mrs. McPhee told me there was a possibility that I could go to college. So I'm going to ask her sister to assist me with getting the thing that we got. And I want you to please help me welcome Mrs. Teresa McPhee. Thank you. What a difference would we would make, right? Ms. McPhee, thank you so much. I told you I was going to do my best not to cry. One teacher, just to give a little Nassau Village girl information. And I just took it and ran with it. What would happen if we had more people who did that? What would happen, right? So let's go to the next slide because we're almost done. What can we do with all of this information? Yes, in the UB population that we studied, rejection did not impact their academic performance, but it raises the question. If there is rejection sensitivity in the population, in high school students or middle school students, even if there's a feeling of rejection in your own life as a business person, as a parent, what do you do about it? Knowing that rejection could potentially have negative impact. Yeah. Raise awareness about attachments due to its impact on academics. Raise awareness. Examine your own attachments, examine your own connections, your own relationships. Build strong, supportive relationships inside and outside of the classroom. If you see a young person who needs direction, coach them along, encourage them. Strengthen parent-child relationships. And might I submit to you that by parent-child relationships, I don't only mean biological mother and father. Do you know how many mothers and fathers I've had along the way? Some of you may be called to being that surrogate mother for that child. As a matter of fact, teachers, you fit that description very, very much so. Encourage teacher-student relationships, positive teacher-student relationships, because it impacts academic performance from as little as kindergarten all the way up to the college level. The research supports that. Commit to mentoring the next generation, coaching, encouraging, speaking words of encouragement as best as you can. And finally, be the safe space. Yeah? So I want you to think about it for a second. When you were little and you were afraid, who did you run to? Who was the person that provided a secure base for you? And then I want you to think about what the response, or how did that person respond to you? Because the one little thing I want to leave you with today is that everybody needs a hand sometimes. Think about your life for a second.
In what way did you most use a hand? I needed a hand in grade 11. I needed someone to tell me, look, Nassau Village is where you started, but it's not where you have to end. In what way could you most use a hand in your life? Everybody needs a hand. And in this instance, I made these little homemade stress balls. And everybody might not get a hand, but he might need a hand. Yeah. Christian, could you help me by giving these out? So I want you to take this as a reminder that everybody needs a hand and how you could be that hand. So I want us to pause for a second as we come to conclude. What's one way you could really use a hand in your personal or professional life? Let's take 60 seconds, turn to the person next to you, and just talk for a while. Go. Think about bringing it in 30 seconds. And bring it in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. If you can hear me, clap once. If you can hear me, clap 2 times. Give yourselves a round of applause as we bring our attention to the front. So as we come to conclude, one thing that I really want to highlight is the power of attachment can turn anxiety into achievement and rejection into resilience. I think that was the most profound conclusion or finding from this study. The power of relationships, the power of connection can turn anxiety into achievement and rejection into resilience. Don't you love these little handmade, homemade stress balls? Teachers, feel free to take the idea with you as a soothing technique for your students, for your children, for those of you who are parents, for yourselves. This thing stays in my pocket sometimes because it's a soothing reminder. For me, it's a soothing reminder that my Heavenly Father is always with me. Yeah? What would society be like if our attachment bonds were different, if they were secure instead of insecure? How would our society change if we had healthy relationships between not just parents and children, but between siblings, between colleagues, between governmental officials? What would that look? Think about it, right? How different it would turn us around as a people. One of the things that I think I will always celebrate is the fact that we are a resilient people. We are a resilient people. Our bounce back game is very strong. Yeah? And I love that about us. Let's see what the next slide has for us. I think we can let's go to the next one. I think we answered this question already. Okay. Y'all believe it or not, I'm just about done. Yeah. You guys have been very, very interactive and I love that. As a researcher, it's important to me to have information about how is the information I presented to you, how did it come across? How did you receive it? Was it helpful? Was it not? So if you can do me a favor, we're going to take 2 minutes to do this. If you have your cell phone, you turn your camera on, you can scan this QR code. If you don't have Wi-Fi, I'm sorry, I don't know the Wi-Fi password, but you can use it's open? Great. Please scan this QR code and you can it'll probably take you only 2 minutes to do it, to complete that evaluation form. And then we're going to thank I have a few people to just give special thanks to. And then guess what, y'all? We're gonna feed you too. Yes. We get to eat together. Give a round of applause for that. Yes. It blocks it. So I have to give permission. So what, my phone? Somebody has my phone. Okay. So that everybody with the link can do it. Okay. And it's sharing. I'm gonna do this in 2 seconds, y'all. Troubleshoot it. Open the file. Christian. I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna get you right now. Settings. Trying to open it. Trying to open the settings, but I'm usually better. Take it to Dr. Gia. Dr. Gia, can you help me with that? It looks different on my phone. So in a couple of seconds, you should be able to access the form. My apologies for that. I thought you guys would have been able to access it, just to open it from there. But while we're working on that, I want to thank a few people. I would like to thank the Learning Resources section and the Educator in Residence initiative for hosting me. I think this partnership is going to be a lasting one, and I'm excited to see what that looks like. We're good now? We should be good now. So we should be good now. So please go ahead and complete the evaluation form. Am I able to talk while y'all do this? I don't want to distract y'all because I know some people need to focus. So I want to thank Proactive Skills Developers with Dr. Charmaine Biller for hosting us as well, Oral Roberts University, my dissertation chair, Dr. Holzman, the committee member, Dr. Millers, and Dr. Walker, the Graduate School of Education. And I'd like to thank the Templeton Foundation and the Life for Key Foundation for their support. And of course, family and friends, thank you all so very much for coming tonight. Hopefully you learned something, and I'm hoping that you're able to take a little something with you, even if it's only a hand, to give you that reminder to value the relationships and the people in your lives. That's me. I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Miller. Please give a round of applause as you complete your evaluation.
Wasn't that phenomenal? Now, she started us off by asking you all to say a word, W-O-W. I need you all to say that backwards. Oh, man, just wow. Listen, you don't understand. When you have spent years in all of the highfalutin jargon, when she said, when I heard the word regression analysis, I said, ooh. Because I had to do the same thing for my dissertation. I was like, ooh. Yeah, it was one of those things, you know. But for her to be able to go through all of that and still break it down where it's palatable for everybody. We all understood it. And one of the things I appreciate too is, and because of my love for writing, is the stories. We underestimate the power of our stories. And so this is a free plug, right? For anyone who's thinking and ever interested in writing their story, I want you to take note of this, this link. Right on Track newsletter, free every week. Write WRITE on Track, TRACK newsletter.com. Every week, I'm sending out snippets to encourage you to tell your story because your story deserves to be heard. There's someone who's waiting for that because perhaps you are someone else's secure base, like she talked about, that 70%, but they don't know your story. You look strong to them. You got it all together. They don't know the time when you have to overcome a hurdle and they need that story. So just want to put that in there. We want to also thank Cheryl Roll. Did I get the right name right? Cheryl Roll is in the back and she has some outstanding pieces of her work in the back there that you all would want to take note of. In fact, one person is going to walk away. That's one of our grand prize. It's a Bahamian whole set of like a luggage set. I don't even know how she got out all the whole in one bag kind of thing because it's like a lot of stuff when you see the picture. But that's going to be our drawing, which we're going to do right now. You'll see that. But we have some other little prizes that we want to give. Listen, we're educators, y'all, and we know people love to get things free. You know what I'm saying? I know I love it. My students loved it. Even at the University of Bahamas, they love it too. Okay? All right. So we want to make sure you leave something. If we could give it to something to everyone, in fact, we are because we got some refreshments in the back there for you. But I also want to say a special thank you. Listen, it's nothing like when you're dealing with people who are professional, people who know their job, people who can advise. And that was the person in our education officer who's responsible for multimedia. You see her bouncing on, and she does so many different things. Bodine Johnson, I have, since we're recording, I got to put it on, yes, on the recording. Thank you so much. Endless support, just jumped right in there. And also you heard the lady who brought up the flowers, Rose Cunningham. If y'all only know what she is maneuvering with right now, her and her sister, to be here, it's a huge sacrifice. To spend your evening in a hospital with your mom just before you come out here and to still be here. That's because of relationships, y'all. That's because of relationships. So I want to thank her because she did all the other things I couldn't do because I was at a conference all day today. So she got all the things packaged in the back there and everything. So without her, we could not have had all of that in the back. So I want to thank Rose. She is the Rose. All right. So I want to appreciate her even in her absence. So I want you all to know your name is in this bag. Hopefully, if you didn't get a chance to write your name on a piece of paper, run and get it to me right now. Yes. Okay, y'all can tell I love drama. Hey, listen, I love it. That's why I teach it. Okay, we need it in the classroom. We need it everywhere. Okay, so the first person who's gonna, yes. Oh, we have one more. Okay, let me put it back. Actually, I already have that name out, so I'll call that name. The first person who's going to get, and you could run to the table and collect something because whoever first you get, whatever's there. Okay? We have, and a special thank you to my husband, also in his absence, who ensured that we have some giveaways from the Teachers Credit Union. So Byron Miller, thank you so much, honey. Appreciate you. All right? So we have some things in the back. So he's going to be giving you all a little bit of his business there. All right, so the first person, come on down, Pauline Lockhart. Woohoo! All right, you can go right to the, okay, awesome. One more there. There you go. Okay, so whoever is first, you get, that's the thing. We get first pick, okay? Here we go, here we go. We're not done, we're not done. Let's shake it up, let's shake it up. I should let someone else do it. Hey, here, Candy, do it for me. Okay, she's gonna choose. And then you can hold the bag and you can let someone else choose. There you go. Awesome. All right. The next person who's going to the table, Monica Claire. Is that Claire? Monica, where are you? She had to leave? Okay, sorry. You got to be here to claim it. So you can call the next one out for me. I'm sorry. That would be, dun, dun, dun. Ooh, it's interesting because this person actually should have gotten a special award too. This is the first person to be in the room tonight, Glendina Woodside. So you get to choose something from the table, plus you get an extra gift because you were the first person in the room. All right? And you can keep me on my numbers. That's 1, 2. Okay. Christine Williamson. Woohoo! You can go to the table. Love it, love it, love it. Free, free, free. We like to give it free, free, free. Come on. Yes, you can say it out. Sophie Grant, are you here? She had to leave. I'm sorry. Wah, wah, wah. Okay. Okay, here we go. Let us hear. Oh, this one had to leave as well. She got her card, a gift though. Yes, that was Miss Coakley. Dr. Gia Jones, Dr. Gia Jones, Dr. Gia Jones. Let's hear it, Dr. Gia Jones. All right, that my rapper and me coming out, y'all. All the craziness, because you know it's time to go home, right? Okay, let's hear it for Judy Gilbert. Is she here? Awesome. Judy's here. Judy's here. Oh, yeah. That's mom. Hey, mom. Awesome. Okay, we done? Okay. That's it. No more. Okay, we'll find something. Okay, we'll find something. Awesome. All right. And the grand prize, pick. Oh, no, that was that. So that person gets the grand prize then, because that's the last person. No, that's not the grand. The grand prize winner, drum roll, Kenya Ferguson. Okay, she's gonna take a picture with her. Yes, yes, so she can. Awesome. Yes, she wants to take a picture with you. Listen. Now we're going to close out, but I didn't want to close out without first ensuring that anyone had a pressing question and perhaps even a comment from the research, but a question more so. You know, I'm already thinking ahead of some things, but if you do have a question you want to ask Dr. Lomax while she's here, let's take a moment to do that real quick because we're right now. But if you are, we're going to ask. I was already advised by Ms. Johnson that you would need to move yourself this way if you're going to ask the question. And so as you're working on that question, I'm going to give you about 30 seconds while you think of that question, and I'm going to ask my question. Okay. You know, a lot of things we look at, you know, well, first of all, you mentioned that generalizability is not something we can do right now. So we definitely need more of the research to happen. Would you advise if someone is looking at perhaps duplicating the study, should they look at the whole mixed methods thing? Because I know it's always good to get that qualitative to inform the numbers. But where do you see us moving in terms of the type of research that could help to make this generalizable here in the Bahamas?
Excellent question. I think that it would be beneficial for us to replicate the study, and especially with high school students. We would have to, of course, get permission from parents for them to participate in the research. And so for me, I think using both methods would be good, but it would depend on the population because I'm not sure the type of information that we would get or the type of questions that you would have to ask to get the depth of the information from, let's say, primary or elementary students, right? But those numbers, the numbers may be easy to get because the rejection sensitivity scale, there's a child version. Yeah, and so it would be easy to get that type of information from that. So I think a research, I think I would put it on the researcher. Like you can determine if you want to do qualitative or quantitative or a mixture of both. I think it depends on the researcher, who the person wants to achieve, and also the population that they want to serve. So thank you so much. In case somebody wanted to jump in here before I give her this last thing about policymakers, because I really want to know, is there something about policymakers need to? Because some things need to delegate to policy. What do you think about that? Is there something that's been, pushing you as you think about that? About what change is important. One of the things that came to me for us to look into in a national level is the national focus on generation. But my focus particularly was on young females, but I think the young leadership is also important. Having it relegated in the government
and Education Ministry of Youth and policies in place to ensure that we are putting emphasis on implementation. The policies are meant. Much. We appreciate her answering those questions on the spot like that. And I'm gonna ask my chair from the School of Education. She's gonna come and give closing remarks and close us in prayer. Close us in prayer. Yes, thank you so much. Because listen, when you have someone who goes out of their way, I'm going to say out of their way, because we were trying our best to get this collaboration, but of course the timing is just not right for some things to be, in motion, but she still made it a point to be here. Y'all listen, she's real people. Okay? So, Dr. Latasha Swan, she is the chair of the School of Education at the University of Bahamas. I teach as an adjunct professor, so I want to get you to hear from her, and then she will close us in prayer. Dear Dr. Miller, yes, I wanted to be here today. Really to support Dr. Miller. She told me about you, Dr. Lomax. Listen, you need to come. Service today too. And afterwards, put up many children, 14 children. I think it's up too, but it's like I'm very sorry, but it's like 14. So I think you for being rude. I was so glad. I'm the chair of the School of Education. That's all the things we do. I'm proud of them. And so I was so touched and so blessed. As a matter of fact, thank you. We saw your spoken word 20 years ago. The husband showed it to me. I was like, something new. And so we were just a little report that child. The brother for doing it, doing the person who took from long time, but we just congratulate you. The initiation of this. We encourage you continue to work with the School of Education. Okay? I'm sure Dr. Melanie told you there is a platform that we call Research Edge, the Graduate Studies Office, UB, and so we get to display all of this wonderful work that you're doing. And so hopefully we do that soon, showing something like you can do it by Zoom. I think this is worth, see what the friends have thought about it. Self-esteem, the Egyptian, and what I do. So much. We talk in Egyptian words, it's feeling. When we talk about the researcher, personally, first in my dissertation as well. The person, she said to me, and she looked me down in my big eyes. And she said, this is my first semester. She said, I'm going to wait for a building, Natasha. You are going to fool. Wait a minute. This is seriously. Because I in the States, I need to come for me, But that was, there's no correlation, you said, between rejection and achievement. Because at the end of my 6 years, she was the one who put it me. She said to me, I don't know how you did it because I lost my mother during my dissertation. I was in and out of the ER, but I went over there, Mrs. Simonet, with 2 small children, 4 and 3, and I was pregnant, starting my dissertation. And that's what that lady told me. So at the very end, 6 years later, she asked me, she said, you get the strength from? I don't know who this God is you serve. You did it. Listen again. You're a good God. Good God. So let me pray with you, and then we'll go, right? Let's pray. About my feelings too. I give you praise and I give you peace. Looking for those moments in time where we can stop our prayers and put on this God, that in the midst of all of this, you are still hungry. Even in the midst of this, God, we can do this for your and so, Father God, I thank you Lord, it's from the very of our heaven to the boost of the blood of Jesus. All of that you would continue to bless, to continue to pray for the coming. And continue to give her the word and the vision that she needs to spread your word to research. And God, we thank you for this precious soul, Father God. We thank you for everyone who is looking for the God, who sacrificed their time to her, God. We thank you for this grace, the deep, and God, we will not forget it. And God, as we go through individually, Father God, help us to recognize that all is going on about the Lord. And if your mercy and your grace is really what covers us, and that is what is the day that we this life is so thankful.